Talking about Daniel and the reputation that he had for sharing his faith. So when we think about sharing our faith, we typically think like we're speaking to people, right? We're actually talking about Jesus and what he did for us and other people. But in this sermon series, we're talking about how we can share our faith through our actions, through our reputation that we build up, through many things just other than the words we say, right? So that's the focus of this night. So let's start with a quick icebreaker question. What are some activities that are more fun to do with other people? Go. Volleyball, yeah. Soccer. Yes. Football. So roller skating. So a lot of sports, video games, board games, laser tag. I love. Like Savannah, what you got? Huh? Yes, that is 100% true. 100% true. I asked AI to draw me some pictures of. Why is it not showing it? We're not syncing. We're not syncing back here. How do we sync? Sean, I need help. Help, Sean.
No, Sean, help you.
Sean, help.
No, Sean.
My funny pictures are not showing to people. Yay! Okay, thank you, Sean. Fun pictures of fun activities that are more fun with other people. You can tell AI definitely made these images, right? You can look at them and you can see some things are off. Like, what's wrong with this basketball dude right here? Yeah, his hand is like melted into the basketball, right? How about down here? What's going on here? There's actually two things happening. This dude's playing PlayStation while these guys are in an escape room, I guess, trying to escape, right? Who saw the weight right here? That's not right, dude. It's like tiny over here and like a massive. What's wrong with this picture over here? They're moving? What was that, Miss Kim? That is exactly what it is, because everyone knows no one's happy during a move. No one, right? So you can 100% tell that was AI generated, right? So having a good reputation for following God might earn you respect, but real faith is proven when it is tested, and that's kind of the lesson for tonight, right? But why is that, right? Well, because when we're tested through the fire, so to speak, we go from the theoretical, how to be a Christian, to like the practical, am I actually going to do the things that I'm supposed to, right? And we're gonna talk about a story tonight. We've been talking about in Daniel. We're gonna continue that story with Daniel's friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? We're going to talk about their unwavering choice to worship only God and not bowing down to the king. So this story will remind us that we're never alone, God is with us, and we have each other so we can show our faith together, which is the theme of this week. So these are our Bible verses we're going to hit. We'll be honest, we're going to live in all of Daniel chapter 3 this whole time. If in small groups, you might also hit Ephesians and some Hebrews, but that's up to your small group leader. So recap. Last week, we talked about the book of Daniel, chapter 1 and chapter 2, and there's a dude named Daniel and his buds. Anybody remember the names of Daniel's buds, like their actual names? What you got? Give me one of their real names. Okay, anyone else? What you got in the back, Micah? Or sorry, Zion. Is that you? Sorry, this light is blinding me. Zion, man, sorry. Dude, this light is blinding me. Because there's a huge light right in my eyes, man. Thank you very much. But we had Daniel, his name got changed, right? All their names got changed when they were taken to Babylon, and that was Babylon's way of like claiming ownership of them. Like, hey, you don't belong to your old culture anymore. You belong to the Babylonian culture now. So live with it, right? So Daniel, he got renamed to Belshazzar. Hananiah got renamed to Shadrach. Mishael got renamed to what? M, Meshach, right? And then Azariah got renamed to Abednego. There we go. So just recapping kind of last week's stuff, right? So we're gonna look at chapter 3, and we're gonna focus on Daniel's buddies, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And we're gonna focus on this huge trial that they had to face. So Let's start reading Daniel chapter 3. Buckle in, friends. Here we go. All right. So, King Nebuchadnezzar, he made an image of gold. It was 60 cubits high. That's 90 feet for us. And about 6 cubits wide. And he set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. He then summoned all his buddies, the satraps, the prefects, the governors, the advisors, the treasurers, the judges, the magistrates, and all the other provincial officials to come to the dedication of the image he had set up. So all these powerful dudes, they came over and they assembled for the dedication of this image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. And they stood before it, and then the herald loudly proclaimed, "Nations and people of every language, this is what you are commanded to do. As soon as you hear the sound of instruments, the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, the pipe, and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up." And here's the part that's important. Because if you don't, whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace. Oh, sign me up, right? That sounds terrible. Okay. So the stage has kind of been set here, right? We got this massive 90-foot gold idol tower statue, right? We got, the threat of death if you don't worship it. Check. I don't see any s'mores. There's no s'mores. Definitely no s'mores for purchase. I don't know how this is going to work out. Let's keep going. Let's see how this pans out. So, verse 7. Therefore, as soon as they heard the sound of the instruments, all the nations and peoples of every language, of course, they fell down and worshiped the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. But wait, there's some goody two-shoes in the crowd. Let's see what's up. It says, at this time, some astrologers came forward and denounced the Jews. He said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "May the king live forever. Your majesty has issued a decree that everyone who hears the music must fall down and worship this image of gold, and that whoever does not worship will be thrown into a blazing furnace. But there are some Jews here who you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon," and he's like pointing at them, "Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, who pay no attention to you, your majesty. They neither serve your gods nor worship the image of gold you have set up." So what do you think the king felt about this? He's a little angry, right? Because think about this, right? He's like, all right, make this cool statue of me, and we're going to put it out in the middle of this field, and we're going to get all my buddies to come hang out and look at this thing, and right? But now he's hearing these three guys who we learned last week. They're kind of important, right? We know they're good looking, they're really smart. They were put inside basically this Babylonian education program so they could become future leaders of Babylon, right? They had a lot of things going for them. So they're hearing this thing about, he's like thinking the best of these dudes, and all of a sudden he's hearing that these guys aren't following suit, right? So now, of course, continue on. He's furious with rage. Nebuchadnezzar then summoned Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So these men were brought in front of the king. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. And Nebuchadnezzar said to them, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the image of gold?" He said, now notice this. He gives them another chance. He says, okay, well, now when you hear the sound of the music, if you are ready to fall down and worship the image I made, then very good. But if you do not worship it, you will be thrown immediately into the blazing furnace without s'mores, right? And then this is where it gets pretty good. He says, and then once you're thrown into the furnace, then what God will be able to rescue you from my hand? Ooh. He's like throwing down the gauntlet. He's like slapping at him, right? Okay, what happens? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego reply to him, "King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into a blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand." Can you guys imagine this? Okay, there's a giant statue. There's these dudes in trouble, like looking at the king. King's yelling at them like this, and they're like, "Nah, bro." Right? Like, that's crazy. Like, if you think about it, that's really good. But they go on to say, but even if God does not save them, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold that you have set up. This is brave, is my point, right? This is wild. Okay. So let's see how it turns out for him. It says, then Nebuchadnezzar was furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and his attitude toward them changed. Remember, he liked them before. He definitely don't like them now. What do he do? He says, he ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual and commanded some of the strongest soldiers of the army to tie up our boys here and then throw them into the furnace. So get this image. You got this 90-foot gold statue. Now we have the largest house fire you've ever seen in front of it, like 7 times brighter, right? Now we got our boys getting tied up, and you got these guards like pulling them toward the house fire. You know what I'm saying? This is not looking good. So these men, our boys, they were wearing their robes and their trousers and turbans and everything. They were bound up, and they were thrown into the furnace. The king's command was so urgent, and the furnace was so hot that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who dragged them and threw them into the fire. And the 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, firmly tied, fell into the blazing furnace. Wait a minute. I don't remember this in my notes. One sec. I didn't remember that the story ended like this. I guess that's kind of sad. That's kind of sad. All right, I guess the story's over, fam. Or is it? Yeah, you're right. It's not over. It's definitely not over. Let's find out the ending to what happened here. So, look at this next point. Something strange happens, right? It says, then King Nebuchadnezzar leaped up to his feet in amazement, and he asked his advisors, wait, weren't there only 3 men that we tied up and threw into the fire? They replied, certainly, your majesty. The king said, look, though, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, and now they're unbound and unharmed. And that 4th guy, he looks amazing. He looks like a son of the gods. Now you gotta put this in perspective. Babylon, it was a polytheistic, right? They worship many gods, right? So he's kind of projecting that onto this 4th person in the fire, right? Nebuchadnezzar then approached the opening of the blazing furnace and shouted, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here, he said. So our boys, they came out of the fire, and then all of his officials, they came over, and they crowded around these guys who just walked out of this blazing bonfire. They saw that the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was a hair on their head singed. Their robes were not scorched, and there was no smell of fire on them, which is the only thing I hate about bonfires, by the way, right? Like you smell like a bonfire forever. I don't like that, personally. The point is, they didn't smell like bonfire. This was amazing. So, again, put this in perspective. Pretend you're there. 90-foot statue, giant house fire, furnace, dudes thrown in, and now they walk out like nothing happened. But the guards are gone, by the way. They're still gone, right? But our boys, they came out untouched. So, if you think about this, like King Nebuchadnezzar, what was he expecting to see? Yeah, he was expecting extra crispy chicken tenders, right? That's exactly right. You nailed it, dude. That's what he was. But that's not what he said. What's up, man? I would not recommend it. But that's not what happened, right? Our heroes, they came out unscathed, untouched, right? And here's the beauty of it. This ties it back into our lesson, right? You know, our reputation, our actions, people can see God not through our words, but through our reputation, right? What was the reputation of Daniel and his buddies, right? They were very faithful, right? They stuck to their guns when it came to their religious practices, and they were thrown into a fire for it, right? How do you think this affected King Nebuchadnezzar? It affected him in a good way. Well, let's dive into this. Yeah. So not only did the 3 amigos display their faith in front of each other, right? Because they were working with each other, getting strengthened by each other. But they also obviously trusted God, right? They believed that God had a reputation of saving them, and God came through in a big way. Did he not? Like this is amazing if you dive into this, right? And did you notice that when the king saw how much faith they had and the way that God had provided them a rescue, he gave them another name, right? Remember we said they had old names, right? And then when they came to Babylon, they got new names. But King Nebuchadnezzar, he's given them another new name. What? Servants of the Most High God. Okay. That's pretty appropriate. That's an appropriate title, is it not? Based on what just happened, I think that's amazing. Their faith really came through for them. So let's finish this up. Let's see how it goes. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who had sent his angel and rescued his servants. They trusted in him and defied the king's command, and they were willing to give up their lives rather than serve or worship any god except their own. Therefore, I decree that the people of any nation or language who says anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego will be cut into pieces, and then their houses be burned into piles of rubble. For no other God can save in this way. And then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. The end. Yeah. It was a little about verse 23 is a little hairy, you know what I'm saying? But I think it ended way better than anything we could have expected, right? It was amazing. So listening back to Daniel 1 and 2 and now Daniel 3, we can see that these four guys, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they really depended on each other, right? They kept each other accountable, right? They kept supporting each other. Because think about it, they were pulled out of their country, out of their culture, thrown into this brand new place and expected to learn all these new things, right? But they stuck together, right? And that was powerful. And of course, they put their faith in God who saved them. So this is where displaying your faith comes in, people. Because the world is always going to try to change you, right? They're going to try to make you conform to the world, whatever the world and the current culture says is how you're supposed to act and do. But when you choose to be faithful, you counter that. And the point of all this is know that you're not alone, okay? You got your families, you got your friends, you got each other in here, you got parents, students, coaches, you got all these people who are with you, right? So you're not alone, and you can always reach out to any of these people to help guide you and put you on the right place, right? So you guys can be comforted by the knowledge and draw strength from knowing that. So the point of all this is when we find ourselves in the fires of life, our faith is supported by those around us who are on the same mission. And by this, we can build a reputation for holding on to God and each other no matter what we face. So now what? What's the point of all this, right? What's the big takeaway? Well, there's a lot we can unpack here, but the one I want to emphasize here is just like Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were really close friends, right? They were really awesome. And they're not just friends, they were all followers. They were all followers of Jesus, right? And they took comfort and strength in that. So what I'm trying to say here is, who is your Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do you have that? Do you have friends? Or do you have friends who are on the same mission as you, right? Are they Christians? Are they walking the same path? Are they supporting you? Are they guiding you? Are they giving you accountability? If you don't have that, I want you to be, this is serious. You need to find that. You guys got to find your Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So who can be that person, right? It doesn't have to be people in this room, but look around. Everyone look around. There's 80 of us in here. It's this crazy. Almost 67. There it is. I had to. But serious question though. Find your crew And I got another, now look, I'm looking around and I do see in this room right now, you guys do have some crews. At least you have a bunch of people that you always sit with every week, right? Now, my question to you is, if you fall in that category, is this the only time you guys hang out? Is that the only time you guys hang out? How about you guys? Oh, those are all good things, right? Those are all good things. But my point is, if you guys are stuck in your little tables, you're not branching out. You're not learning. Everyone in here is a brother and sister in Christ, right? Right? Everyone deserves to be seen and to be taught. These are your brothers. Like, I know, like, if you're a senior, sometimes the sixth grader boys they can be wild, right? They can be wild, right? But, dude, that's your brother, man. That's your brother. I need you to love him. You know what I'm saying? So my challenge to you this week is find one person in this room that you don't know anything about and ask them one question. Learn one thing about that person and start a relationship. Let's just get this going, because that's what God calls us to do, right? We're not in this alone. We're meant to do this walk together and be supported, as we can see with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Does that make sense? All right. So, to wrap this up, it was this week, though. This is appropriate. This is such an appropriate graphic, man. All right. I had to share it. Let's wrap it up. So, when you guys build your life on Jesus' reputation, you're given the blueprint to point others to Jesus, right? And these people, there's all sorts of people who don't know about Jesus, right? And they just need someone like you to bridge that gap and just to ask, like, hey, do you know about Jesus? Can you share about Jesus? It can be life-changing, man. It was life-changing for me, all right? You guys don't understand the power you guys have by sharing the gospel. And you guys can change lives if you guys go through with it. So don't underestimate the power that you have to create a reputation through faith. It can be as simple as being known for loving others the way Jesus does. So with enough practice, you'll have your own group of friends who are following Jesus' reputation too, and you can show your faith together. We'll finish up with this month's Bible verse. I'll say it out loud to you guys. 1 Peter 3:15, it says, "But in your hearts revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have, but do this with gentleness and respect." Thank you very much.